attendance. Although, syempre given na hindi tayo nakapag-meet over the last over the last week, then at the same time nagkaroon ng surprise na suspension ng class for today, kailangan din natin mag-catch up with the classes now that the exams are approaching. I believe in about 3 weeks meron na tayong paparating na exam, so kailangan nating makahabol with our lectures. And I believe kapag may gantong uri ng circumstances, we are compelled to do yung classes asynchronously. So, pwedeng access on your own time na lang. So, self-paced. Although at the same time, I believe with your self-paced ng study, may mga questions na ano rin, na nagbabother sa inyo na pwede nyo rin i-forward as of the moment. So, again, yung ating exam yung first na exam will cover yung special topics of lecture. So, syempre, how do we define special topics? Kailangan nating balikan yung mga assumptions natin na natutunan from ES 102. So, any deviation from our assumptions, yung fundamental assumptions natin dito, will result in to the topic being considered as special. So parang, limbawa, ay isa dito ay hindi nasunod, so it is a special topic. So ano-ano yung mga natutunan natin from ES 102. So yun lang again yung quick recall dito para lang madali natin siyang i-digest. Just in case na makalimutan and alam ko repetitive na ito, mabuti nang naririnig nyo over and over again kaysa pag sa exam mismo ay bigla nyo makalimutan, syempre gusto nyo rin naman na alahanin ito. So through repetition, syempre mapapasok natin sa ating kaisipan kung ano man yung gusto nating matutunan. So again, yung assumption ay the system is in equilibrium. Meaning, if we were to analyze yung stresses occurring upon a cross-section that is subjected under bending, yung nangyari lang dito is that wala yung, ayun, yun yung pointer. So yung nangyari lang dito is that if inintegrate mo siya with respect to its entire cross-sectional area, you'll be identifying fibers that are subjected under compression and fibers that are subjected under tension. And we know for sure that those two are opposing forces. So kapag sinam mo siya, so nagsum ka ng stresses with respect which are integrated over the area, so you'll have an infinitesimal amount of force. Integrate that, you'll have the total summation of force. And under bending, dapat wala siyang maging resultant na axial na force. So pure bending lang yung nangyayari upon your cross-section. So dapat wala kang axial na force. Therefore, yung first equation natin is always yung fundamental. I believe for all of the special topics of lecture, ito yung hindi natin pwedeng labagin na the system must always be in equilibrium in terms of summation of forces. Ibang usapan kapag nag-summation of moment tayo. Dito papasok yung consideration whether your bending is symmetrical or not. So, symmetrical siya if ang nangyayari ay, check ko lang, ang nagsasalita ako, wala palang, ayun. So, okay naman pala. So, yung symmetrical bending involves na kung yung iyong bending moment is applied on the axis of symmetry, say halimbawa dito, yung axis of symmetry mo is along the z-axis. So, ang nangyayari lang, once you applied, along the y-axis pala, yung axis of symmetry. So kung yun yung axis of symmetry mo, and if yung bending moment mo is only applied at the axis of symmetry, kapag nagsum ka ng moment, considering na yung z yung moment arm mo and yung sigma dA as your force, dapat yung collection, yung culmination ng contribution ng mga stresses dito would result into My. On the other hand, since applied sa y-axis yung ating bending moment, If nagsum tayo ng moment along the z-axis naman, now that we are considering yung y as yung ating moment arm and yung sigma dA yung ating force, dapat nagkokontrahan itong mga to and eventually you'll arrive at mz is equals to 0. If in case na si y-axis yung axis of symmetry mo, pwede naman na both. So, on the other hand, if yung iyong bending moment is applied along the z-axis, and yung z-axis na to is yung axis of symmetry, knowing yung right-hand rule natin. So y cross f, we consider that y cross positive y cross positive x would yield negative z, knowing our right-hand rule. Kaya negative itong mz na to. So if nagsum tayo ng moment along the z-axis, which is yung plane of symmetry natin, our axis of symmetry natin, it would result dun sa bending moment na nagkakos ng mga stresses. On the other hand, if magsasum tayo ng bending moment along the y, ay madedetermine dapat natin, granted that this is yung z-axis natin ay axis of symmetry, yung reference z-axis natin, ang makukuha natin ay magiging equal to 0. Sa katulad lang nung sa nauna na magkokontrahan lang din yung nasa negative z ng mga fibers dun sa positive z ng mga fibers. So yun yung definition natin ng symmetrical bending. But we know now that we started in CE18 na nag-depart na tayo from that assumption that the bending moment is no longer applied along an axis of symmetry or let me just correct this. This is not principal axis. Ito yung principal plane natin. Babalikan natin to. Another assumption would be planes will remain plane after bending if translate natin siya for straight beams. So clear emphasis on straight beam. Knowing yung Euler-Bernoulli na formulation. So yung strain natin is determined to be proportional from its distance from the neutral axis. So yun yung minimin natin when we say planes will remain plane and strain remains linear. So it's a function of distance from the axis of symmetry. It can either be if yung bending moment natin is along z. So ito yung magiging proportionality natin. That stress is proportional to its y distance from the neutral axis, or if yung moment mo ay applied along z, yung strain mo is proportional with its distance from the z axis. Yep, z axis. Lastly, stress is proportional to strain. So, as we deal with today's lesson, mako-cover natin si unsymmetrical bending while also touching upon yung inelastic na action. So, kapag hindi na proportional si stress kay strain, paano na yung ating formulation? So, yun na yung gusto nating itanong. So, with this, 1, 2, 3, 4 na assumption, yun yung nagko-constitute ng ating symmetrical bending. Now, we have previously discussed this part of C18 back 2 weeks ago na this is yung unsymmetrical bending formula na this is the very long na equation. If binigyan ka ng cross-section and again, kapag hindi na siya pag alimbawang both along y and z na yung ina-apply mo na bending moment, so pwede mo na siyang baliin into its two orthogonal components, while at the same time hindi na along the axis of symmetry or the principal plane yung application ng mga bending moment mo. So ang magiging resulta niya ay magiging ganito na isang mahabang formula, pero again mnemonics lang na mz katumbas niya yung y, then negative yung connotation niya, knowing yung right hand rule. So titingnan mo lang palagi is yung first term tas yung nasa labas ng ng parenthesis para lang malaman mo kung positive or negative siya. So again, z cross y would yield negative x knowing our right hand rule. Similarly, y cross z, knowing our right-hand rule, will result in positive x. Kaya positive yung ano mo rito, sign mo dito sa kabila. So kung MZ ito, ang kapartner niya is yung IY, then yung other na component, yung MY, kapartner niya yung tinatawag na uh, product of inertia. And I believe medyo kakailanganin natin ng ma-example dito. I'll try posting guided na problem sets on this. Guided na exercises. So, ano naman siya? In the form of bonus na quizzes to make up dun sa ano natin sa mga classes na hindi natin na conduct, especially ngayon. So meron kang IY, meron kang IZ, tapos meron kang IYZ. So yung IY at saka IZ, familiar na tayo rito. We also know yung concept ng translational transformation. So balikan lang natin. So again, translational transformation will result in the parallel access theorem for both the moments of inertia and the product of inertia. So yung translational transformation natin, so yung y prime, so yung new axis natin will be equal to y plus some displacement along y, or halimbawa meron kang z na z plus displacement along z. So yung translational transformation na to would result in the parallel access theorem on which yung IY prime natin, yung translated plane natin, will simply be equal to IY bar, which is our centroidal moment of inertia, plus dz, wait lang, yep, dz squared, tapos yung cross-sectional area ng inyong cross-section, ganun din sa IZ prime, so yung translated na plane, so nagkaroon ng translational transformation, so yung centroidal moment of inertia plus d squared y a. And similarly, we apply also the same concept with the product of inertia. So IYZ bar plus d sub y, d sub z, a. So ito yung ating translational transformation. Pero meron din tayo at the same time na rotational transformation. So yung rotational transformation natin, again, to recap, ay if we are rotating along the x-axis, along the positive x-axis, so positive x-axis, ang magiging formula natin for transformation, yung ating y, yung ating magiging abscissa, so yung ating y prime will be equal to y cosine theta. So tandaan lang natin yung binigay ko na mnemonic sa inyo dun sa mga previous document na na-send ko via Uble or email. Sadly, down pa rin yung Uble. So z sine theta, the z prime will be z cosine theta. So lagyan natin para hindi natin ma-mistake as 2. So z cosine theta minus y sine theta. And kapag in-apply natin ito into our moments of inertia, so parang nag-introduce ka na ng transformation law na meron kang IY bar is IY prime is equals to, so if nabasa natin yung study guide, it will culminate into this. So meron kang IY plus IZ over 2 plus, let me recall kung plus ba. Plus. Tapos IY minus IZ over 2 cosine 2 theta minus IYZ sine 2 theta. Tapos meron kang IZ prime is equals to IY plus IZ over 2 plus, minus this time, minus IZ, IY, so ano rin pala, so ang babalik lang sa original na quantity, IY minus IZ over 2 cosine 2 theta plus IYZ sine 2 theta. Then lastly, yung ating product of inertia ay sinasubject din natin under transformation. So meron tayong Iy minus Iz over 2 sine 2 theta plus Iyz cosine 2 theta. And since nakapag-draw tayo ng similarity with the stress transformation, we can actually represent these transformation equations in terms of what's called yung Mohr circle. So Mohr circle that involves yung ating moments of inertia and yung product of inertia. Lagay ko lang yung key, distinct difference between stresses at saka yung moments of inertia. So sa stresses, mapapansin nyo rin na sa stress, yung particular na difference is ito dapat negative, ito dapat positive, ito dapat positive, ito dapat negative. So yung magiging consequence lang nun, dun sa ating Mohr circle, the manner that we are drawing yung Mohr circle on the stresses originally from ES102 is ito yung ating normal stresses. Then downwards yung ating positive na connotation for the shear stresses. Whereas kapag moment of inertia yung pinag-uusapan natin ay ito yung ating moment of inertia. So Iy and Iz. Then yung product of inertia natin is pataas na ganito. So ito yung Iyz natin. Pero the manner of rotation still remains na counterclockwise is positive, clockwise is negative. So again, ang definition natin na ng counterclockwise rotation, if nakapag-identify tayo ng positive x-axis dito, so yung positive na rotation is counterclockwise, then yung negative na rotation is a clockwise rotation. Whereas kapag sinabi natin na negative x-axis, medyo mag-flip ng konting ating definition on which yung clockwise rotation ngayon ay yung positive na rotation, counterclockwise rotation will be the negative na rotation. So keep those in mind. So now that we recall yung similarities na meron tayong Mohr circle dito, meron kang C, may identify na center ng ating Mohr circle. So yun naman palaging ating SOP. So we are identifying C and we are also identifying what's called yung R, yung radius. So similarly, yung formula, to sum it up, yung formula lang natin, yung C will be the average of our two moment of inertia. So Iy plus Iz over 2. Then yung ating magiging radius will be, again, yung square root of, so parang we treat yung Iy minus Iz over 2 at saka yung Iyz as yung orthogonal na components ng ating radius. So kung kukunin mo ngayon yung sum niya, or yung parang kunwari hypotenuse, makukuha mo yung radius niya. So Iyz squared. So ito yung formula natin for C and ito yung formula natin for R. And just like in our stresses, meron din tayong kailangang i-identify na principal plane. So yung principal plane is identified if either axis of symmetry siya. So automatic to. Pag na-identify mo na yung plane na to ay somehow axis of symmetry, what you're dealing with is a principal plane. Or if yung product of inertia mo ay nag-diminish, naging zero siya. So hahanapin lang natin if we were to draw our Mohr circle right here. So yung ating Mohr circle, saan nag-intersect yung ating Morse circle dun sa horizontal axis. So we are finding this point and this point, and ang kailangan mo na rotation ngayon is yung tinatawag na Ayan, theta sub p. This is 2 theta sub p sa ating Mohr circle. Yung kailangan mo na rotation para ma-reach mo, rotate mo si R papunta dun sa horizontal. So yun yung angle na kailangan mo. And yung theta sub p na to, medyo familiar na sa atin. So yung theta sub p will be equal to, check natin, this will be equal to, uh, let me ponder for a while. So meron kang 2 IYZ over IY minus IZ. Wait lang, may mali sa, this is supposed to be tangent, hindi square root. So square root, so arctan o this one. So 1/2 arctan o this quantity right here. May kulang pa ata ako na negative sign. So meron pa akong negative sign dapat dito. Negative IYZ over IY minus IZ. Just in case na ito yung nangyari sa ating Mohr circle. So speaking of Mohr circle, again, as a bit of recap, this first point right here is yung ating IY that is coupled with the positive IYZ. Then, yung opposite side niya, yung nandito, is yung ating IZ na coupled with IYZ. So, in this manner kasi, in-establish na natin na si Y, yung ating abscissa, si Z, yung ating ordinate. So, yung principal plane natin is identified through this axis of symmetry. IYZ is equals to, or IYZ is equals to 0. Alam naman natin yung pag-interchange between these two concept. Alam natin na kapag nasa axis of symmetry tayo, automatic yung ating product of inertia ay magiging equal to 0. Pero there are some instances na hindi natin madaling ma-identify kung nasaan si product of inertia natin. So hindi mo ma-identify kung nasaan yung ating axis of symmetry. So hindi straightforward yung pag-alam kung saan nagsi-zero si product of inertia. And now, we arrive at the notion on how, siguro mahati ito into two, yung concept ng ating neutral axis. So yung neutral axis natin, again, per definition, it is the plane on which any values, kung ano yung nilagay mo na values ng y at saka z, automatic magiging zero yung ating bending stress. So ito ay dapat maging equal to zero. And to visualize this, kung paano ba natin dinederive yung formula, imagine that this is so i-imaginein mo kailangan yung plane. Unahin mo yung plane. So meron kang y, tapos meron kang z dito. So y mo is yung abscissa, z mo is yung ordinate. Parang meron kang ganito. So yung neutral axis mo din will be identified by some angle beta. Ngayon, depende kung paano mo i-define yung beta. Yung sa study guide, yung beta ay from the positive z towards y. So, ito yung in-identify niya na beta. For many of the exercises naman, as long as sinasabi mo kung saang axis nag-originate siya, maski kung positive y yan or kung positive z, okay lang naman din. So, paano mo ngayon makukuha yung beta? Beta can be obtained by knowing, so if this, palitin natin, ito yung beta mo ngayon, then imaginein mo na siya ay isang right triangle. So meron kang right triangle right here. Now, what you've determined is ito yung opposite, ito yung adjacent mo. Yung coordinate niya along y is yung opposite, yung coordinate niya along z is yung adjacent. So, knowing yung tangent formula, so meron kang tangent of uh, so meron kang tangent of beta is equals to y over z. So, yan, parang from this moment on, kailangan mo lang ngayon i-program yung sarili mo paano ko ma-manipulate itong equation na to such that yung nasa left-hand side ng equation ko is y over z and yung nasa right, yung nasa left-hand side ng equation ko is magiging y over z. So, babalikan natin to. Again, per definition, gusto natin na equal to zero yung ating bending stress. So, through some manipulation, mangyayari lang dito ay ito ay, hindi, sige, copy ko na lang para alam natin yung thought process. So, paano ba siya nangyayari down the line? So, meron kang 0, and ito ay malilipat lang sa kabila, magiging positive siya. Tapos, gagawin ko is yung coefficient na kasama ni Z ay i-divide ko lang with respect nga on both sides of the equation. Pero prior to that, ang pwede ko nang magawa is i-multiply both sides by the denominator ng fraction. So, itong buong term na to, since pareho lang naman sila ng denominator, pwede mong i-consider na nag-cancel out na. So, therefore, kahit yung numerator na lang pala yung ima-mind natin dito, yung mga numerators niya. Divide natin both sides by the numerator na kasama ni Z dun sa equation. So if we were to do that, mangyari lang is meron ka nito, copy, paste, then baliktad pala. Dapat pala ay y over z. So yung numerator pala ni y, yung i-divide natin on both sides of the equation. Tapos ito ngayon ay mapupunta as numerator dito. Numerator sa dyan. And equals to y over z. So ito ngayon yung ating formula na kailangan nating ipagsama dun sa nakuha natin dito, itong tangent beta na ito. So kapag gusto natin makuha ngayon si beta, all we need to do is to get yung arctan ng nakuha natin na term. So ito, yung arctan nito will be yung ating beta. So this only represents yung angle na yan is now that we identified na another way to put this is the way that you have formulated this is ito yung origin na plane, then papunta siya towards this plane right here. So ay original axis. So from Z towards Y. So ganun yung interpretation natin dito sa numerator at sa denominator. Kung nakita mo na Z over Y, ibig sabihin lang nun from positive Y towards positive Z yung direction. And again, kapag nakakuha tayo ng negative na value dito, instead na papunta, palayo. Ibig sabihin, yun yung kino-communicate ni beta. And to simplify all this, syempre, now that we have also identified the principal axis, so medyo magiging updated na din. Yung principal axis natin ay identified such that merong kang uppercase letter y, which we can obtain by doing y cosine theta p. So, pwedeng ganito. Plus z sine theta p. So, yung theta p, again, is yung angle to get to the principal plane. And we are also identifying uppercase letter z na merong kang z cosine theta p minus y sine theta p. So ito yung ating principal axis. Parang gusto kong balikan yung problem set. Pero sige, mamaya. So, if nakapag-identify na tayo ng set ng y at saka z, we are identifying also that our principal moment of inertia along y, meron kang principal moment of inertia along y, tapos meron kang principal moment of inertia along z. Well, at the same time, yung principal product of inertia mo at the principal plane, so ito, hindi mo na alahanin kasi equal to 0 na siya. So, kapag ganun na yung ating formulation, yung ating formula from earlier, so yung so ito yung alternate procedure kung ayaw mong i-deal with dun sa longer equation kasi mahirap i-memorize, you can opt to do rotational transformation, pero kapag nagkaroon ka ng rotational transformation, ito na yung magiging formula natin. So meron kang m, z, ano, uppercase Z. So ito yung component ng bending moment mo along the principal plane Z. So binibreakdown mo into component, tapos naka-minus pa din to, tapos I Z right here, tapos meron kang Y uppercase letter dyan. So, ito yung coordinates mo with respect to the rotated frame of reference na coincidentally siya rin yung iyong principal planes. So, meron kang MY over IY and Z dito. So, ito, everything comes around. So, magiging handy yung knowledge natin with rotational transformation. Depende na lang kung anong choice nyo, whether more circle, so yun yung pinaka-convenient, pero mas straightforward kung kaya mo rin kabisaduhin yung transformation na formula. More circle is more of graphical para lang madali nating ma-visualize. Pero kung gusto mo lang naman mag-rotate and hindi naman sa'yo mahirap magkabisado, pwedeng ito. So you have two options when dealing with unsymmetrical bending. You take the plane as it is. You obtain the moments of inertia along the Y and Z. We also get the product of inertia. You plug everything in. You plug all of the coordinates. Then mabibigyan ka na ng value for sigma. Any questions about dito? Wala namang problema, no? So, ito yung na-miss out ko na i-flesh out during our lecture kasi nagulat din ako na tumagal din tayo nung nagle-lecture on the class. Wala naman? Gusto pa nating matulog? Okay lang naman yan. Digest lang. Wala. Raise lang ng hand. Okay, sige. Now, on to yung example ay isi-send ko sa inyo via email. It will come in a form of a guided na solution. So parang meron kang problem, tapos ibibigay sa inyo yung step by step ng solution process. Kasi ang ino-hope ko na ma-highlight ngayon is another special topic. That special topic involves the proposition that actually we can do beyond yung uh, linear na relationship between stress and strain. We can also do non-linear na property na as long as provided on how we are converting yung stress to strain through the Hooke's law. So whatever equations na mag-arise, we can readily convert yung stress na na-identify natin from this assumption that the planes will remain plane, yung strain mo ay linear pa rin, pero yung conversion niya to stress is non-linear in nature. So now, that will transition yung discussion into what's called inelastic bending. So kapag nagsi-CE 151 na kayo or habang nagsi-CE 151 kayo, marirealize nyo na uh, sinasagad talaga ng mga engineers yung capacity ng mga beams to sustain stresses. Hindi sila nalilimitahan dun sa tinatawag na elastic limit. And every time na nabibring up itong sa elastic bending, maganda na, ay inelastic bending, maganda na palagi tayong magsimula on a rectangular na cross-section. Kasi ito yung pinaka madali na ma-visualize. So we have a rectangular cross-section. Teka lang, ayusin ko lang to. So yung ating rectangular na cross-section. Yep, sige. Tapos, we assume that it has a width B and a depth H right here. Then we say that it's a itong H na to, pwede pa natin itong baliin if we're going to assume na yung bending moment natin is along the horizontal for the sake of demonstration purposes. So babalik lang tayo dun sa notion na ganito, na magre-retreat back tayo ng konti dun sa symmetrical na bending. So we anticipate na yung centroid ng ating cross-section will be at the mid yung pinakagitna ng iyong rectangular na cross-section on which yung along the horizontal, B over 2, tas B over 2, along the vertical is H over 2 and H over 2. Ito nung ice cream na to nagbebenta pa sa labas. Okay. So meron kang bending moment dito. So suppose na meron kang bending moment dyan, we know for sure from our formulation na if we retreat back dun sa my over I, so depende dun sa magiging value ng m natin, yung magiging itsura ng ating stress, unahin muna natin yung strain diagram. Strain diagram natin will be like this. Then with all of the formulations that we have done, we know na if within the elastic limit, so elastic limit is such that epsilon times E is equals to sigma. If kinonvert natin itong strain into stress, pareho lang siya. It remains yung same na proportionality. Na meron kang, lagay ko lang dito na epsilon compression, tapos epsilon tension, tapos this will become sigma tension, so yung maximum na tensile stress, plus yung maximum na compressive stress natin. And again, hindi nawawala yung definition ng ating neutral axis kung saan zero yung ating strain, at the same time kung saan zero yung ating stress. And per definition from ES 102, makukuha natin na MY. So assuming, sorry, gawin natin sige na along Z. So this is Z axis. So meron kang MZ over IY. So gawin na natin M sub Y ito. Pero siguro tanggalin ko muna yung pagiging Y. Balikan lang natin yung mga key definitions na natutunan natin from ES 102 na, for example, we identify Y as the distance from the neutral axis. So distance from neutral axis. I and A is yung ating moment of inertia along the neutral axis. Pero at the same time, we know from our ES 102 na yung ating centroidal axis ay coincident sa ating neutral axis if and only if ito yung nasusunod. Stress remains proportional to strain. Ma-flesh out natin to later. Pero we're still dealing with muna na doubly symmetrical na cross-section, rectangular cross-section. So, in this assumption, so maintain in this scenario, maintain lang na si neutral axis will remain at the centroidal axis. Pero otherwise, continue lang natin yung thought. Na now, meron tayong proposition na itry natin na i-increase pa si bending moment. Increase natin si bending moment such that yung stresses mo, oops, May gusto mong pa-admit. Sige, wait lang. May tanong. Sige. Sir, for the sake of the class and in the near future, lagi po bang gagamitin yung axis na orientation na Y is abscissa, Z is ordinate? Actually, depende. Minsan kasi may mga textbook na examples na yung ini-illustrate dun sa cross-section is X and Y yung naka-display. So, kailangan mong i-discern kung alin doon yung abscissa, alin doon yung ordinate. So, again, kung X at saka Y yung naka-display, we are anticipating na along the Z-axis yung direction ng bending moment na pinag-uusapan natin. So, if halimbawang, sige, mabuting i-illustrate. So, segue muna tayo dun sa notion ng abscissa at saka ordinate. So, halimbawa, nagbigay ng ganito. So, merong kang X, merong kang Y. So, X cross Y yields positive Z. So, away from the page, yung direction ng Z. So, ibig sabihin lang nun, yung uh, ito, yung counterclockwise na rotation is positive and clockwise na rotation ay negative. If in case na nagbaliktad ito, you often encounter this na this is Y tapos biglang naging X ito. So pag nangyari ito, yung vector normal to the plane will be towards the page, yung direction. So in this manner, yung direction ng ng rotation mo, so alimbawa yung with reference dun sa theta p, sa beta, so yung pag-identify mo will be in a manner such that yung counterclockwise rotation will be negative rotation from our perspective, then yung clockwise rotation yung magiging positive na rotation. Kasi halimbawa sa book makakita tayo ng ganitong example. So magugulatan na lang to na oops, meron kang ganitong plane, nangaasar lang minsan, and makikita mo ito si Y, ito si Z. So I believe sa unsymmetrical bending ganito yung ganito yung orientation mo. So malilito ka pa din. So Y cross Z yields positive X, and yung Y cross Z natin, so ito yung Y cross Z yields a counterclockwise rotation, and that means na pointing away from the page yung direction ng ating positive na rotation. So, tama lang na yung abscissa mo is Y, then yung ordinate mo is yung Z. So, medyo, talaga siya, rather arbitrary. So, again, it's all about identifying first, knowing yung manner ng rotation. Since we're doing rotational transformation, identify first alin yung abscissa, alin yung ordinate. I hope nasagot yung unang tanong. Especially kung hindi specifically stated yung orientation ng axis dun sa cross-section. Hindi siya specifically stated because yung binigay ko ron is yung I mean at saka yung I max. So, yung key thing about that sa quiz number 2 is we know for sure that I've given you a rotated na channel section. Parang ganito siya na nagre-react in response to a vertical na line load. And as a result, sige lang, pardon me na lang sa pangit na drawing. So if ito yung ating direction ng force, so again, pointing towards the centroid ng iyong cross section. So ito yung direction ng ating line load. Yung direction ng ating bending moment will be always perpendicular to that. So ito yung direction ng ating bending moment. Ngayon, along with the problem, yung nangyari is ang binigay ko is I max saka I mean. So yung maximum na principal moment of inertia saka yung minimum na principal moment of inertia. The way that we can deal this logically is first to identify, okay, mukhang may axis of symmetry na binigay si Sir dun sa cross-section. And identifying yung axis of symmetry, meron akong makukuha na ganito. This is my axis of symmetry. And within my axis of symmetry, ngayon, tatanungin ko na lang, along my principal plane. So meron akong principal plane along Y, meron akong principal plane along Z. Alin dito yung magbibigay sa akin ng maximum? Alin yung magbibigay sa akin ng minimum? All you need to do is to identify fibers within your principal plane. So iyan yung isang principal plane. So halimbawa IY yung inimpose ko as my principal plane right here. Tapos ito yung along Z, for example. Lagay lang natin na this is Y, tapos this one on the other hand is yung Z. All you need to do is to check dun sa mga, parang roughly, check mo lang gaano kalalayo yung mga fibers mo from yung axis of symmetry. So, the more, kapag mas maraming fiber, yung considerably malayo sa neutral axis, dun sa isang plane, kumpara dun sa kabilang plane. So, imagine natin itong positive Z. So, meron na mismo nandun sa, sa plane. Tapos, hindi naman kalayuan. Then, konti lang. Itong dulo lang to. Itong dulo lang to, yung magbibigay ng medyo mataas-taas na, na moment of inertia. We are anticipating ngayon na kapag ganito yung setup, itong plane na ito will give you yung Imax. Itong plane na ito will give you yung I minimum. Again, it's all about inspecting yung mga fibers. Kapag malalayo yung fibers mo from your identified na principal plane, yung orientation, yung plane na yon or yung axis na yon represents yung moment of inertia na magbibigay sa iyo ng maximum principal, yung plane na magbibigay sa iyo ng maximum na principal moment of inertia. Kapag malalapit yung mga fibers mo from the principal plane, then that principal plane will give you a moment of inertia na minimum. Siya yung pinakamaliit na principal moment of inertia. So all you need to do now on that exercise, pinaka-straightforward na approach will be to decompose itong M into the orthogonal component. So, i-breakdown mo siya into M sub, so, na-identify na natin na si Y, uppercase Y, yung ating magbibigay ng maximum na moment of inertia. Tapos, mag-identify ka din ng along X. So, meron kang along Z. So, M, Z uppercase. So, ito yung ating dalawang component. And, pa-plugin mo na lang actually siya dito. So, kung ano yung nakuha mo na component along the Z, knowing yung mga distances ng mga fibers, so binigay ko yung mga coordinates na nasaan si neutral, nasaan yung axis, rito, yung centroidal axis, nasaan yung centroidal axis dito, ma-identify mo na around, kailangan let me think. So around dito and around, yep, around dito and around dito yung magbibigay sa iyo ng maximum na bending stresses. Na-anticipate mo na. Another way to look at this is kailangan mo lang i-check nasaan si neutral axis. Potentially, nasaan si neutral axis? Yun yung gusto, yun yung gusto nating masagot na tanong. So, potentially, nasaan si neutral axis? So, try nating mag-delete ng, or, sige, simplihan ko na lang. Simplihan na lang natin. So, how can we estimate kung nasaan si neutral axis? I-anticipate in advance. Kasi ganun natin may identify, mapapabilis yung ating solution process kung nasaan yung ating uh, yung fibers or yung points na magbibigay sa iyo ng maximum na bending stresses. If ito yung ating bending moment, while at the same time, ito yung magbibigay sa atin ng maximum. So, ito yung magbibigay ng max, I max. So, parang pwede natin gawin na gantong plane. Tapos, ito yung magbibigay sa atin ng I min. Kaya lang, I min right here. Let me just ponder a bit. Ah, Check lang ah. Okay. I mean, so per dun sa study guide, sinasabi lang na if na-identify mo na ito yung minimum na principal axis, yung bending moment mo is midway between or parang along the line between your minimum moment of inertia at saka nung ating bending moment. Yep, minimum. Yep. So ito yung ating bending moment. So once na pinlagin mo yan, it somehow should fall in between na nag-anticipate ako na ito maximum, then meron kang downwards, nag-add up. So, nandito banda yung ating neutral axis. So, balikan ko din yung thought na yun. Any questions pa? Sige, abangan ko ulit. So, check ko ulit kung may questions niya. So, ganun mo nalolocate si neutral axis na it's always in between yung try ko munang i-simplify. So, kung may rectangular na cross-section ka, delete ko na lang to. So, may rectangular cross-section ka, then halimbawa meron kang MY dito, tapos meron kang MZ dito, and yung MZ yung magbibigay sa'yo ng I mean, tapos ito yung magbibigay sa'yo ng uh, IMAX. And knowing yung mga fiber, so itong MZ dito, this will give um, tension, compression, tension, compression. Si MY naman, magbibigay ng tension, tension, uh, compression, compression. So, dito sa points na to, yung maximum na bending moment natin. So, yung ating neutral axis will be in between. So, assuming na 45 degrees ito, assuming lang naman, yung neutral axis natin will be in between nung I minimum at saka nung direction ng ating bending moment. So, ito yung direction ng bending moment natin. Tapos yung anticipate natin na location ng neutral axis will be along this plane. So, ganyan yung perception. So, ito yung NA natin. Yan yung NA natin. So, ito yung moment vector. Ito naman yung magbibigay sa'yo ng minimum na moment of inertia. Itong ano na to, axis na ito. So it's between nung moment vector natin saka yung magbibigay ng minimum principal moment of inertia. So conceptually, ganoon hahanapin si neutral axis. Then only after that, so ako, na-anticipate ko na direction ng neutral axis will be along this plane right here. And if na-identify ko na along this plane, yung direction ng neutral axis ko, I would surmise na dito sa point na ito, pinakamataas yung aking bending stresses. So ito yung i-check ko. Then, i-compare ko lang dun sa maximum allowable na stresses, makukuha ko yung bending moment na kailangan, and knowing yung aking analysis ng beam, makukuha ko kung anong kailangan ko na omega to achieve that bending moment. Again, yung rotation provided na dun sa sa figure. So, plug in nyo na lang siya doon. Walang question. Sige. Kailangan lang natin painitin ng ating kaisipan dahil nangalawang din. Isang linggo rin tayong hindi nag-aaral ng CE 18. Now, medyo matagal na segue yun. Balikan natin. Inelastic bending. So, within inelastic bending, meron kang ganito na cross-section. And what I'm now proposing with all of these known prerequisites or yung lessons from ES 102, we try to propose na what if yung bending moment mo is causing a bending stress equal to the yielding stress. So ito na yung pinaka-maximum. So yung yielding stress mo is yung proportional limit na anywhere greater than that, magiging inelastic na yung relationship between your bending moment and your stresses. Or yung strain, sorry, magiging inelastic na yung relationship between stress saka strain. So meron kang sigma y dito. So yung nagko-cause ng ganitong instance, mabilis lang natin siya ma-define kasi we know that this is h over 2, or we say na kunwari y max, we identify this to be equal to y max. So yung farthermost fiber, siya, typically naman, proportional naman talaga siya doon. So kung mas malayo siya from the neutral axis, mas malakas yung bending stress na nakukos. So ito yung ating neutral axis. So now that we have identified yung y max, so meron kang sigma y dito, tapos na equal to yung moment na gusto mong malaman, which later papanghalanan natin, y max over INA. So kung i-jumble natin to a little bit, such that yung M yung gusto nating ma-determine, so meron kang sigma y, which is your yielding stress, INA over y max. This is equal to what's called yung yielding stress. A yielding moment. So, yielding moment is any bending moment when applied upon a cross-section will cause the farthermost fiber to experience the yielding stress. So, yun yung formal na definition mo. So, basically, ito na yung boundary na any greater than this, any greater than M sub Y, ay magiging inelastic na yung action. And we roll back again dun sa notion ng inelasticity. So we go back to our stress strain diagram. So we have here our stress, we have there yung strain, we have here yung stress. We know na within the proportional limit, stress will remain linear to strain right here. So ito yung idealization natin. Then there comes a point sa 151, na-discuss na a little bit to, na merong residual stresses, medyo magko-curve ng paganyan, then magre-reach ang ultimate stress, magkakaroon ng necking, then magbe-break siya kapag umabot siya dun sa ultimate na so bababa yung relationship between stress and strain. So ito ay yung tinatawag natin na proportional limit. So ito yung ating ultimate stress right here. Pero for CE18 and CE151 purposes, we idealize itong behavior ng steel natin. or any other material. We are establishing what's called a perfectly plastic material. Perfectly plastic na material. Kapag perfectly plastic siya, what we are assuming is once it reach yung ating proportional limit, yung sigma sub y or yung epsilon sub y, so yan yung ating proportional limit, any further than that, constant na siya. So nagpa-plateau na siya. And yung plateau na yon is yung sigma y. So ibig sabihin, any strain that is greater than sigma sub y, kapag kinonvert mo siya to stress, it will always result in sigma y. So yun lang yung sinasabi natin kapag perfectly plastic material. Now, babalikan natin to. So, now we are proposing na yung same na rectangular cross-section natin will be subjected under bending, action of bending, such that yung magiging resultant na strain distribution niya across your cross-section, even though if it is still linear, ito yung hindi naman na-violate na rule, so kahit na linear yung relationship niya, yung strain mo ngayon dito, yung maximum strain is greater than the yielding strain. Similarly, since linear naman to, ito ay still greater than dun sa yielding na strain. So, mas malaki pa rin yung strain natin. So, sabihin natin na negative sigma EY, tas yan, positive sigma EY, it's still the same distance. Pero, so meron ka pa rin H over 2 dito. Although not to scale ito. Sige, H over 2 right there. So meron kang maximum strain na greater than dun sa yielding na strain. So what to do at this point? Kailangan mo lang muna i-identify hanggang saan dun sa mga fibers na yon yung nag-exceed ng yielding na strain. So sabihin natin na up to this point, ito ay yung magre-result to yielding strain. So yielding strain siya at this point. At the same time, at this point, yielding strain din siya. So ini-impose lang natin na alin pa rin yung magre-remain na linear, alin yung magre-remain na non-linear. So this is our strain distribution right there. And if ililay down natin yung manner ng conversion, so, kino-convert na natin siya to stress and strain. Babalikan lang natin tong ating stress-strain diagram. So, ang titingnan natin is yung not in red, but rather in violet. So, in violet. So, unahin natin yung farthermost point, yung very extreme na point. So, yung nakuha natin na sigma is around dito. Nalagpas siya kay sigma. Epsilon. So, lagpas yung strain mo dun sa yielding na strain, pero sinabi natin na any strain that is greater than the yielding strain, if converted to stress, will remain at sigma sub y. So, at that point, makukuha natin, sigma sub y pa din yung ating conversion. Sigma sub y pa rin yung conversion. Similarly, for the rest of this portion right here, ganun din yung magiging manner ng conversion. It's still sigma sub y. So parang magiging constant lang yung sigma sub y natin for some distance right here. So for some distance, sigma sub y. And after that, magiging linear na yung relationship between stress and strain. So magiging linear na siya na ganito. Yan, magiging linear na siya. Na kapag na-reach na yung sigma sub y, again, at this point, ay epsilon sub y, sigma sub y na rin ito. Then, constant ulit siya na sigma sub y, then, wala. So ito na ngayon yung panibago natin na stress diagram. So ito yung una, strain diagram natin. Ito na ngayon yung ating stress diagram. Ito yung ating magiging stresses. Siyempre, tatanungin, Sir, does this still observe the equilibrium equation? Nasusunod pa din ba yung equilibrium equation? The answer is yes. If uh, yun pa rin dapat yung masusunod. So, ang ating cross-section ay rectangular. So, meron kang total na stress block dito. So, meron kang stress block dito. And kapag may kinuha kang equivalent to force dyan, just equal and opposite ito. Nagkokontrahan lang sila. And kapag in-equate mo yan, dapat equal pa rin siya to zero. So, it's still in equilibrium, pero the manner on how it will be converted to bending moment ay medyo uh, medyo mag-iiba na ng konti. Kasi if we lay down our rectangular na cross-section, so we know that this is a rectangular cross-section with width B right here. We identify now different blocks. So meron kang say so ito ay block 1. This is a rectangular na stress block. We know that constant yung width. So rectangular yung ating stress block dito. Etong area 2 na na-identify natin, triangular stress block siya. Etong area 3, triangular stress block siya. Then lastly, yung ating last na area is rectangular stress block siya. So what we are doing with this? We are identifying yung equivalent forces niya. So yung equivalent force niya, we simply have to integrate. So ito will be the integral. So mag-name na tayo ng point siguro na this is point A, ibang kulay. Point A, point B, point C, point D, and point E. So halimbawa ganyan. So yung magiging katumbas niya na force ngayon will be obtained if you integrate from YD to YE ng ating sigma dA. Yung dA ngayon, kailangan lang nating i-identify. Yung dA is our horizontal strip. So yung ating horizontal strip right here. So yung width niya will be constant at B. Then yung thickness niya or yung height niya will be dy. So B dy. At the same time, at this portion, alam natin na yung ating stress function ay isa lang yung value. Constant lang yung ating stress. Sigma y. So kapag sinubstitute natin yan, meron tayong from YD to YE, tapos meron ka pang sigma y, tapos meron ka pang B dito, tapos meron ka pang dy dito. Kapag in-integrate mo yan, all we are getting is sigma y B times YE minus YD. So ito yung equivalent na force natin. So we name this as force 1. For area 2 naman, siguro maglagay tayo ng ibang connotation ng color. And ano pala, take note yung location ng ano niya, yung distance, yung uh, location kung saan yung force, nandun siya sa centroid ng stress block natin. So, it's between point E and point D, exactly in between. So, meron ka niyan. Tapos, sige, mamaya na yan. Mamaya na yan. Sige, i-name na natin na this is at, so makikita natin to, na at YD plus YE over 2. So yung gitna lang nung point D sa ni point E. So ito lang siya. Ginawa ko lang na ganito. Yan yung magiging distance niya from the neutral axis. Yung YD plus YE over 2. Yung at area 2, ito yung ating force vector right here. Paano natin siya makukuha? In the same manner. Pero kaibahan ngayon is kapag sinulat ko, so YC, YE, ay YD, sorry, sigma dA, yung aking mga assumption will be ay from ano nga ito? Okay, okay. Hindi, sige. But forces pala yung okay lang, sige, sige. Forces. Para mas mabilis lang imagine. So, YC to YD. So, yung aking sigma is now a function of Y. So, meron akong sigma Y times Y over yung distance niya from the neutral axis. So, meron kang YD minus YC. So, ito yung overall na distance niya. Ito yung YD, ito yung YC natin. So, yung distance between the two, parang magiging ratio and proportion lang siya. Na halimbawa dito, i-divide mo with respect with the total area, yun yung proportionality between stress and strain. This is more known as similar triangle. So meron ka niyan, YD minus YC, tapos meron ka rin na DA, pareho lang din ng sa nauna, na B dy. So all we need to do is to plug this in. So meron kang YD to YE, tapos meron kang sigma Y, tapos Y over Y minus YC B dy. So, mangyayari lang dyan is labas lang natin lahat ng mga constant na term. So, meron akong sigma Y, meron akong B dito, tapos meron pa akong YB minus YC na term right there. Tapos yung aking integral na term is yung Y dy na magiging Y squared over 2 evaluated from YC to YD. And this will result in sigma Y B times YD squared minus YC squared. So, yun yung result. Tapos meron pang over 2 yan. So, lalagay ko lang yung 2 dito sa denominator. So, 2YD minus YC. And magsisimplify pa further to if i-expand natin yung nasa numerator. So meron kang YD plus YC, quantity of YD plus YC times quantity of YD minus YC. Magka-cancel out lang yung YD minus YC. So meron akong sigma Y, B, tapos YD plus YC over 2. So ito yung aking katumbas na force. So sigma YB, YD plus YC over 2. And if in-establish natin na yung neutral axis natin is at YZ, so halimbawa YC natin na equal pala kay 0, so meron ka lang triangular na stress flux. So parang yun lang din yung ginawa natin na BY over 2 times sigma Y. BYD over 2 times sigma Y. Pero i-maintain lang natin as is. So, yan yung magiging formulation natin. So, the step-by-step procedure is kunin natin yung mga stress block and actually, anticipating yung symmetry, meron ka rito, tapos meron ka rito. Ito ay, yung F4 will be equal to F1, yung F3 will be equal to F2. Otherwise, hindi sila magkokontrahan. Hindi sila in equilibrium. Kailangan kasi in equilibrium. So, yun yung ma-anticipate natin once we dealt with the solution process nito. Pero the key thing here is how we would then determine kung ano yung bending moment. Ano yung bending moment na nagko-cause nito? All we need to do, if we know our function, yung mga kahit piecewise man yan, is to get the integral from ng y sigma dA. Yung dA, pwedeng hindi na siya constant. Yung sigma, pwedeng function siya or constant siya. Yung y, as is lang siya. So, pwede pa itong ma-breakdown if piecewise function si dA, piecewise function si sigma, mabe-breakdown pa siya into different intervals. Pero, once na nakuha natin yan, so this will be equal to, again, F1. Siguro gawin natin twice. So if ito yung ating neutral axis, so yung F1, gaano siya kalayo from the neutral axis on which yung bending moment ay nag-occur, it is na-identify natin to be equal to YD plus YE over 2. Pero at the same time, alam natin na si F1 ay equal to F4, so yung contribution ni F4 ay parang magiging twice lang, parang kapares lang kay F1. So magiging times 2 ito, magka-cancel out lang siya. So magka-cancel out lang yung 2, so parang twice lang pala yung effort. At the same time, si F2 at saka si F3 ay equal lang, pero nakalimutan ko rin palang i-highlight na ito, yung location ng centroid niya will be at YD plus YC times 2 over 3. So 2/3. Nandito yung location niya. Yan yung 2/3 na yan. We know yung triangle natin. So nandun yung location ng centroid niya. So meron kang, again, anticipate na natin na twice. Tapos YD plus YC over 3 times 2/3 times YD plus YC times sigma Y times B over 2. So, yan yung ating mga terms. So, nangyayari dito ay yung 2 magka-cancel out right there. So, yung simplified na formula natin will be equal to F1 YD plus YE. So, medyo mental, conceptual pa lang to. Wala pa yung mismong sinosolve dito. So, YD plus YE plus 2 times sigma Y B YD plus YC squared over 9. So ito ngayon yung magiging bending moment na lang, may kulang. Yup, may kulang. Yung F1. Kailangan ko pala i-quantify yung F1. So kapag kinwantify ko pa yung F1, meron na kumukuha na bending moment. And this state right here is what's known as elastoplastic na moment, na bending moment. Ibig sabihin lang nun, pag sinabi mong elastoplastic, there are fibers that are still within the elastic range. Then there are also fibers that are within the plastic na range. Or nandun na siya sa inelastic na part. Nandito na siya sa perfectly plastic na part. So, ano yung magiging theoretical maximum nito? So, yung in-anticipate lang natin na tinatawag na theoretical maximum is yung point on which yung ating stress diagram, yung ng ating cross section will be in such state na yung lahat ng aking tensile fiber is already nasa yielding na. So alam natin na yan yung ultimate ceiling. Similarly, nasa yielding na din ito. So dito, mangyayari lang ay meron tayong ma-identify. So katulad lang ng sa elastoplastic, meron kang mga stress block dyan. Ay may mga forces ka, may ma-identify ka ng force dito with the known point of application. Meron kang ma-identify na force dyan. Then, ang couple na yan will result in what's called yung plastic moment. Ngayon, the key thing about plastic moment is ito yung pinakasagad mo. So, ibig sabihin lang nun, kapag napansin mo, so these are the following observations na pwedeng makuha. If M is less than the yielding moment, then within the elastic range pa ito. Elastic pa siya. Actually, up to equals. Kapag yung bending moment mo ay greater than My, pero less than MP, this is elastoplastic. And never na yung bending moment mo will exceed ito yung theoretical maximum, hindi niya ma-exceed itong plastic na bending moment. So, nasa plastic na region siya. Another key observation dito is kapag nasa elastic region ka, yung neutral axis mo rito will simply be equal to the centroidal axis. Wala kang problema dyan. Kapag nasa elastoplastic ka, Na will no longer be equal to the centroidal axis. And kapag nasa plastic na moment ka, yung Na mo is defined such that yung total area ng under compression is supposed to be equal to the total area under tension. So, ganun mo hahatiin yung cross-sectional area. So, kaya sinabi ko sa inyo na since doubly symmetrical ito, hindi mag-shift yung location ng neutral axis. Pero again, kapag tinanggal natin yung notion ng double symmetry, ibig sabihin lang ng double symmetry ay may axis of symmetry dito, may axis of symmetry dito, tanggalin mo yung isa, halimbawa ito na lang yung axis of symmetry mo, or ito na lang yung axis of symmetry mo, medyo mag-iiba na ng konti yung ating formulation. Pero check ko lang, may tanong ba? Naku, wala. Mika, sige. So we will be dealing with examples on this, pero let me just give quick review. So para mabilis, let's try our hands on this cross section. Mag-try tayo ng tinatawag na T section. So we try ourselves solving a T section. So meron akong T section. Dapat symmetrical. Teka, using ko lang. T section. So sa T section natin. So magbigay lang ako ng key dimension. This is 50 mm. This is 150 mm. This is 400 mm. And this is 75 mm. So, meron pinapa-identify na if given yung sigma sub y natin to be equal to 250 megapascal, pinapa-identify sa atin ano yung my, ano yung mp natin. So, ito yung dalawang pinapahanap. My at saka mp. Yung my, ito yung classic na natutunan natin sa 102. The first thing that we should be determining is nasaan yung centroid ng ating cross-section. So, yung centroid, if ito yung ating reference, so first is to locate centroid. So, yun yung unang step natin. So, hanapin nasaan yung centroid. So, if nag-set up tayo ng reference na dun sa bottommost fiber, so we are identifying two areas. So, this area right here and this area right here. So, this is a composite section. So, titingnan lang natin siya as such na dalawang shapes yung kailangan natin i-check. So, dun sa unang shape, meron kang, so area 1, you have 50 times 75. So meron kang 3,750 millimeters squared. So ito yung ating area. Tapos meron ka pang location ng centroid niya. So y bar 1 mo is located at 25 mm. So midpoint lang. 25 mm. Grabe na to scale yung 75 ah. Okay lang yan. Sige, compress lang natin yung ano, not to scale yung figure. So 25 mm. Tapos yung pangalawang area natin is 50 by 400. So kung meron kang 50 by 400, meron kang 20,000. 20,000 millimeters squared. So 20 by 400, 20,000, 50 by 400 is 20,000 millimeters squared. And yung location ng ating centroid will be from the bottom fiber, 50 plus yung kalahati ng 50, labo nga, no? Sobrang not to scale nga. So 50 tas kalahati ng 50 is 75. So meron kang 75 mm dito. So kung gusto nating i-locate yung centroid, all we are doing is, so yung centroid from the bottom fiber ay meron kang 3,750 times 25 plus 20,000 times 75 divided by 23750. So, itry natin sa calculator. Saan na yung calculator? Yan, new notes, new notes. Yep. So, meron tayong, ano nga ito? Labo 3,750 times 25 plus 20,000 times 75 divided by 3, so 23750. So ay equal to 67.105. So ito yung location ng ating centroid. Lahanin lang natin yan. Next is to get yung moment of inertia. Unahin muna natin yung centroidal moment of inertia ng isa. We know that it has a height of 50, then a width of 170. So meron akong, sige, 75, sorry, 50, balikan ko lang to. Yun, 75 na. Yun. 50, 75 times 50 raised to 3 over 12. Ito yung ating sa una. Tapos yung I2 natin ay equal to, so dito ko lang isulat para hindi malito si Apple Calcu na 400 times 50 cube over 12. Linawin ko lang yung 3 na to. Over 12. So meron akong centroidal na product of, na moment of inertia. So kailangan comprehend. So meron akong 13,809, 69.39. Tapos kung gagawin ko yung parallel axis theorem, so yung INA ko na gusto kong mahanap ay magiging equal to, so kung 67.105 yung aking location ng centroid, so meron akong 16666. Teka, bakit sablay yung gawa nitong, nakakalito yung equal cube. Yan. Na nga ba yun? Bakit ang liit ng number? Okay. Tingnan natin kung reliable pa rin si Apple na Calculus. Sabi daw niya ay revolutionary daw siya. So, 4166666.67. So, simplify lang natin. Plus 761,250. Plus yung parallel access theorem natin na 3,750. Ito yung nasa baba. Times 67.105 minus 25. So, yun yung centroid niya. Squared. Bitin na. Sige, dagdagan pa natin ng plus dito na 2,000, 20,000 times 67,105 minus 75 squared. So, saan siya equal? So, sana ma-detect niya. So, meron akong 12 million something. Yep, hindi ko makakopya. Ayun, 12,842 point. 842. Ano yung ano? Please give me the answer. Ayaw mag-zoom out. Damot ah. Aha. Sige, lagay ko na lang na ganyan. Na merong pang dalawang 600 yan. So, 12,842,600. So, assume lang muna natin na ito yung ating I and A. Then, yung Y-max natin, na-identify na natin, actually, with the knowledge na meron tayong 67,105 kasi yung 67.105 is this one right here. Ito yung 67.105. Yan yung farthermost fiber actually from your identified na neutral axis. All you need to do is to plug that in. Sige na, siulat ko muna. So meron tayong kailangan ma-determine na MY. So kung nakuha ko na yung location ng farthermost fiber, tapos nakuha ko na rin yung bending stress. So ay yung bending stress to be equal that of the yielding stress. Tapos meron akong I and A dito divided by 2Y max. So I'll be plugging in 250 Newton over millimeter squared. Ito yung katumbas ng megapascal times yung kanina. Nakalimutan ko na. Sige, 12,842,600. 12,842,600 millimeter raised to 4. Divided by yung aking Y-max. Yung Y-max ko is 67.105. So kapag pinlagin ko siya sa calculator, so 12,842,600 times 250 divided by 67.105, so I equal to 47845,168. So 47165,185. 8. Ay na ako sa numero 845,108 Newton millimeter. Ito, pwede ko pa i-subject to further conversion. So, gagawin ko siyang kilonewton meter. So, i-divide ko to by 10 raised to 6. So, meron akong 47.85 kilonewton meter. So, ito yung na-identify ko na yielding moment. Now, to the plastic moment, pwede ko na siyang diretsuhin in such way na kailangan ko lang identify alin yung magbibigay sa akin ng yung cut-off kung saan equal yung nasa taas na area dun sa nasa baba na area. If na-identify ko na 3,750 yung area ko dun sa baba, tapos na-identify ko rin na 2,000, 20,000 yung area dun sa nasa taas, So ito yung area total. So kung gusto ko makuha pala yung hati nito, so kailangan ko lang hatiin yung 20,000 sa yung 3,750. So meron akong 1, kailangan ko maka-achieve ng 1, 8, na ko na nga, calculate ko na. Baka makalimutan. 2,3,750 divided by 2. So 11875. So kailangan ko lang ng 11875 millimeter squared na area for my compression sa tension. Ngayon, ang tanong, nasaan yon? So all I need to do is to divide that by 400. So kung dinivide ko yung 11875 sa 400, ito 29.688 yung magiging distance niya from, so ito na yung magiging bagong location ng aking neutral axis. So meron akong 29.688 millimeter as my location of what's called the plastic neutral axis. So meron akong plastic neutral axis dyan. And now na nahati ko siya, so balikan ko lang to. Pwede ko nang tingnan ko lang kung pwede kong i-delete ito. So yan, yung hati-hati-hati natin. So meron akong area under compression right here. Tapos meron din akong area na under tension naman dito. At yung nasa baba, under tension din. All I need to do is to identify stress block. So try ko lang na pakita lang to sideways. So meron akong force dito na compression. Okay lang naman kung baliktad compression tension. Na meron ka nito. F1. Tapos meron ka rin yung sa malaki na part. So oops. Wala pa rin tanong. Sige. Tapos meron ako ditong F2. Tapos meron akong F3 dito. Okay. So, si F1 ay makukuha ko in this manner. So, F1 will be equal to yung total area lang niya. So, 11875 times sigma y times 250 lang. So, meron na akong force 1. Force 2, ang makukuha ko dito is, bawasan ko lang yung 20,000 minus 11875. Parang hindi na ako mahirapan sa pag-compute. So, 8125. So, meron akong 8125 times sigma y. So, total area times sigma y. Then, F3 ko, meron akong 3750 times sigma y. So, yun lang naman yung mga forces ko. So, area times yung yielding stress pag plastic moment. Now, on to dun sa computation ng moment arm. So, yung distance na to from the neutral axis will be, so kung yung violet in yung neutral axis, then dito yung force natin, so kalahati lang ng 29.688. So, meron akong ito, 14.844. 14.844. Yep. Ito yung aking distance from the neutral axis. On the other hand, itong in blue ko is meron akong 30 point, so kalahati nun. So, sulat ko lang yung equation. So, 50 minus 29.688 divided by 2. So, ito yung distance niya. Moment arm. Ayaw i-recognize. 29.688 divided by 2. So 10.156. So 10.156 millimeters. Then lastly, so ito ay nasa midpoint. So, meron akong 50 minus 29.688 plus 25 and I'll get 43.31. 43.31 mm. So meron akong F1, meron akong F2, meron akong F3, meron na rin akong moment arm. All I need to do is to sum everything. So ito lang yung katumbas niyan, Y sigma dA. So meron lang akong 11875 times yung moment arm, 14.844 times sigma Y. Then meron din akong plus 8125 times 10.56 times sigma y. So mamaya na natin ipa-plugin yung sigma y since common term siya. 3750. Then meron akong 43,312 sigma y. So meron akong 11875 times ito. Nakalimutin na ako 14.844. 14.844 plus 8125 times 10.156 plus yaw. Yeah, sige. Ako na lang ilagay yung plus. So plus 3750 times 45.312. So ito ay equal to 428,710. Then, imumultiply ko siya sa 250 and this will give me and 107.7. So, dinivide ko na to ng 10 raised to 6. So, meron akong makukuha na 107.18 kilonewton meters. So, ito yung aking plastic moment. Now, yung last na gusto kong ma-discuss is yung ratio between the plastic moment at saka nung yielding moment ko. This is what's called yung shape factor. So meron tayong shape factor. And actually, magko-culminate pa to later on if examine natin closely itong term na to, kapag pwede natin siya ma-represent into what's called yung section modulus, yung S sub x. Yung moment of inertia divided by yung distance ng farthest fiber. So pag minultiply natin lang siya sa yielding stress, makukuha mo na yung yielding moment. So meron tayong i-impose na tinatawag na section modulus. On the other hand, meron din tayong finactor out. So lahat to naka-factor out yung sigma y. Ito represents yung tinatawag na plastic modulus na kapag minultiply mo kay sigma y, makukuha mo si m sub p. So yung shape factor mo actually can be further reduced kung na-factor out yung sigma sub y as the ratio between the plastic modulus and the section modulus. So meron akong 107.18 dinivide ko sa 47.85. So meron akong 5. Yan, 2.24. So meron ako nakuha na 2.24. And take note na yung shape factor is independent of the stresses. It's only dependent on your cross-section itself. And further ma-flesh out natin to in the coming exercises sa meeting natin sa Thursday. So hopefully magkita na tayo. So wala na sanang suspension to discuss this and to deal with with examples na definitely makakatulong sa inyo sa inelastic bending. Pero yun nga, I hope na may masasend akong material sa inyo within today. Mga na lang natin yan. Down pa rin yung Oble. So pagpasensya na natin si UP system. Mukhang in-fix pa niya. And as of now, thank you for attending this optional meeting and that will be all this after. So maraming salamat.
Thank you, sir.